You think you love your cat? You feed them, you shelter them, you pet them when they come close. But what if I told you that some of the most normal things you do every single day are quietly hurting your cat in ways you can't see? Not because you're a bad owner, not because you don't care, but because nobody ever told you the truth. Animal behaviorists have been studying this for years, and the findings are uncomfortable because the damage isn't always loud. It doesn't show up as a limp or a wound. It shows up as a cat that slowly withdraws, stops purring, stops trusting. And by the time most owners notice, the bond is already broken. Today, we're going through 6 everyday things that are hurting your cat. Things that feel completely harmless. Things most cat owners do without a second thought. And I promise you, by the time we reach number 6, you'll never look at your cat the same way again. Because the last one, it's not what you expect. And it might be the thing you're doing right now, out of pure love. Your cat just knocked your favorite mug off the counter, shattered on the floor. And before you even think, you raise your voice. You yell their name. You say something sharp. It's instinct. It feels like the right reaction in the moment. But here is what is actually happening inside your cat's brain when you do that. Cats are not wired the way dogs are. They do not process cause and effect in a linear way. A dog can connect "I chewed the shoe with owner is upset right now." That logical chain exists for them. For a cat, it doesn't work that way. When you raise your voice, your cat does not think, "I did something wrong and I should stop." They think, "This person just became dangerous." A 2021 study from the Journal of Veterinary Behavior tracked cats who were regularly exposed to loud, harsh vocal reactions from their owners. The results were clear. Those cats showed significantly elevated levels of chronic stress, and that stress didn't just go away. It compounded. It started showing up as hiding behavior, as sudden aggression, as litter box avoidance, as a cat that flinched whenever the owner came near. They weren't learning the lesson you were trying to teach. They were learning something much darker. They were learning that you are unpredictable. And to a cat, unpredictable means unsafe. Think about what that actually means for your relationship. Every time you've reacted with a loud voice, even once, even if it felt minor, your cat logged that moment. Their nervous system stored it, and each time it happened again, their baseline level of trust in you dropped just a little bit more. The painful part is that this is never intentional. You weren't trying to frighten them. You were frustrated. You were reacting. You're human. But your cat does not understand the intention. They only understand the energy in the room. They read tone, volume, and body language. And if what they sense is threat, that is the only information that matters to them. So what does this look like in practice? If your cat does something you don't want them to do, the most effective response is redirection, not reaction. A calm, firm sound. Moving them gently, offering them something else to engage with. It will feel less satisfying than yelling. It won't give you that immediate release, but it will do something yelling never can. It will keep your cat's trust intact. And trust, once it's damaged with a cat, takes a very long time to rebuild. Here's the thing that most people don't realize. Some cats never fully rebuild it. They just learn to tolerate. And tolerating is not the same as trusting. You don't want a cat that merely tolerates you. You want one that actually feels safe with you. And that starts with the sounds you make when you're frustrated. Before we get to number 2, I want you to think about the last time you raised your voice around your cat, not necessarily at them. Who sneered him? During a phone call, during an argument, during a tense moment. And that awareness, just that simple shift in how you think about your energy and the space you share with them, can change everything. Number 2 is something even more invisible. And it's something your cat is desperate for, even if they've never asked for it out loud. Let me ask you something. When was the last time your cat actually chased something? Not stared at it from across the room. Not batted at a toy once and walked away. Actually chased something. Something that moved like prey. Something that made their whole body go low and focused and electric. If you're having trouble remembering, that's the problem. Here's something most people don't fully understand about cats. They are not domesticated in the same way dogs are. Dogs have been bred over thousands of years to live alongside humans, to adapt to our rhythms, to find satisfaction in our approval. Cats are different. Under the surface of your cuddly, sleepy house cat is a predator with a brain that is wired around one thing: the hunt. Biologists call it the predatory sequence. Stalk, chase, pounce, catch, kill, eat. Every part of that sequence matters. Each step activates a different part of the brain and releases different neurochemicals. When a cat completes that full sequence, even in play, they feel something close to what we would call fulfillment. When that sequence never gets activated, something begins to shut down. A study published in the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery examined indoor cats who lacked consistent play stimulation. The findings were sobering. These cats showed increased rates of obesity. They showed signs of anxiety and low-level aggression. Many developed overgrooming behaviors, pulling out patches of their own fur as a way of managing tension they had no other outlet for. And a significant number showed symptoms that closely resembled clinical depression in humans. Depression in a cat that appears fine on the surface. That cat who sleeps 18 hours a day and seems perfectly content and there's a real possibility they haven't given up on playing. They've given up on being played with, and they've found a way to exist inside that quiet resignation. They are not lazy. They are mentally starving. And this is the part that should make every cat owner stop and think, because the fix is genuinely simple. 10 to 15 minutes of interactive play per day. That's Italiano. Not a toy left on the floor that they ignore. Interactive play means you are involved. You are on the other end of a wand toy, moving it like actual prey. Unpredictably. Low and fast and darting. Giving them something to stalk, to chase, to leap at. When you do this consistently, something remarkable happens. You start to see a different cat. One with sharper eyes, more energy. More curiosity. More affection toward you, because you have become part of something that deeply satisfies them. The bond between a cat and their owner deepens when play is part of the relationship. It's not just exercise, it's communication. It's one of the primary ways cats connect, and most owners skip it entirely, not because they don't love their cat, but because the cat never complained. Because the cat just sat there, quiet and still, and seemed okay. But quiet is not the same as okay, and still is not the same as content. Your cat is not telling you what they need. They never will. It's not in their nature to demand. It's in their nature to wait, and to slowly recede if nothing comes. Don't let them recede. Now we're going to talk about something that happens twice a day in almost every home. Something you've probably never questioned, because it's always been this way, and it is slowly doing damage from the inside out. We need to talk about food. Not because you're feeding your cat the wrong brand, or spending too much or too little, but because there is a fundamental mismatch between how cats are biologically designed to consume water and the way most of us are feeding them every single day. Here is reality. Cats are desert animals. Their wild ancestors evolved in dry, arid environments where standing water was rarely available, and so their bodies adapted to get virtually all of their hydration from one source. The prey they ate. A mouse is about 70% water. A small bird is similar. When a wild cat eats, they are also drinking, even if it doesn't look that way. That instinct to drink water separately, to seek out a bowl and lap from it, is not strongly wired into cats. They evolved not to need it. And so most cats have a low thirst drive. They don't feel thirsty the way we do. They don't register dehydration the way we do. Now, here's the problem. Dry kibble contains roughly 10% moisture, sometimes less. When a cat's entire diet is dry food, and fresh water is available but the cat barely touches it because their instincts don't strongly push them toward it, they are living in a state of chronic, low-grade dehydration. day after day, year after year. A study published in the Journal of the American Veterinary Medical Association found that cats on dry-only diets had significantly lower total water intake than cats eating wet food. Even when both groups had free access to fresh water, the dry-fed cats simply weren't compensating the way owners assumed they would. And over time, that dehydration puts quiet but serious pressure on two organs: the kidneys and the urinary tract. Kidney disease is the #1 cause of death in older cats, not accidents, not infections. Kidney disease and chronic low-level dehydration over years is one of its primary contributors. This is not meant to alarm you. It is meant to inform you. Because the solution is remarkably simple. You don't have to throw out the kibble entirely. Even adding wet food a few times a week makes a measurable difference in your cat's hydration levels. Even adding a small amount of water to their food. Even switching to a cat water fountain, which encourages more frequent drinking through movement. Small changes. Real impact. Now let's talk about something else that's happening in your home. Something that relates to the other basic physical needs your cat has. Every single day. The litter box. We hide it because we don't want to see it. We don't want to smell it. We tuck it in a basement corner, behind the washing machine, inside a closed cabinet, in the darkest, tightest space available. And from a human perspective, that makes complete sense. But from your cat's perspective, you just put their bathroom in the most terrifying spot in the house. Cats are simultaneously predators and prey. Even domestic cats carry that dual awareness in their nervous system. When they use the litter box, they are in their most vulnerable position. They cannot run easily. They cannot see clearly in all directions. They need to feel that they can see what's coming and that they have an exit. A box in a dark, tight corner with one way in and one way out violates every survival instinct they have. Research in applied animal behavior science found that litter box placement and accessibility were among the top factors linked to elimination problems in cats. If your cat has been missing the box, if they've been going elsewhere in the house, there is a strong chance this is not a behavioral issue. It is a location issue. They are scared, and they are telling you the only way they know how. The recommendation from behaviorists is simple: open placement, multiple locations, and the N+1 rule. One box per cat, plus one extra. 2 cats means 3 boxers in different parts of the house. This reduces territorial pressure and gives every cat options. Your cat is not being difficult. They are trying to survive inside a space that, despite your love, may not feel entirely safe to them. Number 6 is the one I've been building toward, and it's the hardest one to hear, because it involves something you do every day with the best possible intentions. Before we get to the final point, we need to address something that happens on your couch, in your lap, during what you think are the most connected moments between you and your cat. The way you're petting them. Most people pet their cat the same way they'd pet a dog. Long, firm strokes down the back. A belly rub when the cat rolls over, reaching for the tail area. It feels natural. It feels affectionate. But cats are not dogs, and their relationship to touch is fundamentally different. A cat's skin is loaded with nerve endings that are far more sensitive than ours. What begins as pleasant stimulation can tip into overwhelming overstimulation. Within seconds, sometimes without any visible warning. This is called petting-induced overstimulation, and it's one of the most misunderstood dynamics in cat ownership. A study from the University of Lincoln measured stress hormone levels in cats during different types of petting. The findings were consistent. Cats showed the lowest stress responses when touched around the cheeks, the base of the ears, and under the chin. These are the zones where cats naturally rub against things to deposit their scent. These are the areas that feel socially safe to them. When owners focused on the belly or the base of the tail, stress hormone levels spiked almost immediately. So that belly your cat exposes when they roll over in front of you. That's not an invitation. It's a display of trust. They are showing you their most vulnerable area because they feel safe with you. And when you reach for it, you are, in that moment, betraying exactly the trust they just offered. This is why some cats seem inconsistent. One moment they are pressed against you, purring. The next, they are across the room, staring at you with something that looks like resentment. It's not random. It's not mood. They were enjoying the moment, and then it crossed a line they couldn't communicate clearly enough before it was too late. The fix is to stick to the safe zones. Slow, light strokes around the head and cheeks. Let them push into your hand rather than you pushing into them. And the moment you see the tail begin to flick, the moment you notice the ears rotate slightly back, the moment the skin along their back ripples or twitches, stop. That is the signal. Honor it. Give them space. When you do this consistently, something changes. They stay longer. They come back sooner. Because you've become someone who listens. And to a cat, being heard is everything. Now, number 6. I told you at the beginning that there's one thing almost every cat owner does out of love that might be doing the most damage. This is it. There is a myth so deeply embedded in pet culture that most people never question it. The myth that cats don't care whether you're there or not. That they're independent, self-sufficient. That they couldn't care less if you walked through that door or never came back. It is one of the most damaging lies in the entire history of pet ownership. A 2020 study published in Current Biology examined the attachment bonds between cats and their owners using the same methodology researchers used to study infant attachment to caregivers. What they found was unambiguous. Cats form genuine, measurable attachment bonds with the humans who care for them when separated from their owners and then reunited. Cats showed clear patterns of secure or insecure attachment, depending on the quality and consistency of the relationship. This is not sentiment. This is behavioral science. So when you leave for 10, 12 hours a day and come home to a cat that seems unbothered, that's curled in the same spot, that barely lifts their head, they might not be unbothered at all. Cats who experience prolonged isolation regularly develop anxiety that shows up as appetite changes, litter box problems, and a kind of quiet emotional withdrawal that owners almost never recognize for what it is. They don't bark. They don't destroy things. They suffer in silence, because that is what cats do. And that silence convinces us that everything is fine. It is not always fine. Your cat notices when you leave. They feel the hours. And they wait for you with a loyalty that most owners never fully understand, because it doesn't look like loyalty. It looks like indifference, but it isn't. You don't need to be home every hour, but you can do small things that matter. Leave enrichment out before you go. Rotate toys so something always feels new. Create a window perch so they can watch the world while you're away. And when you walk through that door at the end of the day, don't just pass by them on the way to the kitchen. Sit down. Be present. Give them 5 minutes of actual connection. Because to your cat, you are not just one of many people in their life. You are their entire world. And every single day, they are hoping you remember that. If this video changed the way you think about your cat, share it with someone who loves theirs. Leave a comment telling me which one surprised you the most. And subscribe so you never miss what comes next. Your cat is counting on you to keep learning.